I have absolutely been loving FAE FARM, and it really has superseded my expectations for a cozy game. But after playing the game for a few hours, a few things have started to niggle at me. So today I'm going to discuss the ways in which I think that the game could be improved. This isn't me tearing the game to shreds because honestly I really do enjoy it. This is more of a constructive criticism type video. Should there be any potential future quality of life updates, then I would love to see these included. Let me know in the comments what your number one thing is that you would like to see improved, but without further ado, let's get into the video. As cozy gamers, I think we deserve the title of the most relaxed gamers in the world, and as part of that, I don't like to feel pressured by time, and I like to take things at my own pace. And unfortunately, the day to night cycle in FAE FARM doesn't quite meet this. I feel like sometimes the days go super fast, and it does appear to be that it's not just me who feels this way. It appears to be a drawback for a lot of you guys because I've had a fair few comments about this on my videos. So how could the developers fix this? Well, the best option would be to add a game speed option. We have seen this in other farming sims such as Coral Island and Wildflowers, where this sort of control gives the power to the player to control how long the days are, maybe set it to a relaxed mode. I'm not saying have an indefinite day, I just want it to be a tiny little bit slower, maybe more of a slower pace. Honestly, for these games that I've mentioned, Wildflowers, Coral Islands, that feature is such a standout for me, and if you're wanting to achieve a cozy and relaxing gameplay atmosphere, this edition is a must for cozy games. I really feel that. Tied to this point is the fact that your time doesn't pause when you're in the crafting menu or placing down items in the build mode, so this kind of makes the days feel a little bit faster. I can't see how it would be detrimental to the game to kind of be able to pause when you're in these menus. In fact, I think it would be a huge improvement to me that if when you're decorating, the time did not pass by. This is not exclusive to FAE FARM, and in fact a fair few other farm sims I've experienced this problem. You start decorating when the sun is shining in the sky, and then 10 minutes later it's dark. It really does kind of hold you back, and it kind of gives you a whole different atmosphere. Perhaps I was just spoilt with Animal Crossing, but this does feel like a huge drawback to me, as if the day ends, you definitely lose your decorating groove, and then you have to head to bed and you wake up again and kind of lose where you were. So I really would love to see that addition. In other menus you can pause time, so it would be nice to be able to do it in these. Even just the build mode would be enough for me. So my third point relates to NPCs Chat. Do not get me wrong, I'm not normally one to read the chat if I don't have to, and even when I do, sometimes I skip through it and I'm scratching my head moments later deciding what I should be doing. But that not being said, I do want a nice conversation with NPCs in games, and well, this game might be lacking a little bit in that direction. I love that when you talk to an NPC, it has a little line about their role and what they like. But beyond that, talking to NPCs is a little flat and repetitive. I fully appreciate that a character will repeat some lines, but when the whole island is telling you the same thing every day, it just feels a little much. I would love to see more of a story with more depth in these character interactions. Even my first date with Jack felt a little superficial. It's been a while since I went on a date, but tree chopping isn't normally how you seduce someone, surely? Each to their own. But although the topic wasn't all that romantic, it definitely was more of the level of conversation I was expecting to have with people, particularly those that you can develop friendships with. It's not just the character interactions that I feel are lacking, I also am a little disappointed by the festivals. Perhaps I've been spoiled with festivals from games such as Stardew Valley and Coral Island, and maybe it was because of these games that I was so excited to take part in the festivals in FAE FARM, particularly when there is a festival dedicated to flowers. However, on attendance, it felt more just like a special shop. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the beautiful decorations around the dock and in the hall, and the furniture items you can purchase are beautiful, but I just wanted more. It just felt like it needed a little fun game or something. You were literally building up the whole month to get excited for this, and then it was just like, oh. So yeah, I would like to see more in the festival department, that's for sure. Another thing which I would appreciate it if there was some improvement in is the amount of unnecessary clicking, and overall I just think some things need just smooth lining a little bit. One of the most obvious things is with the crafting benches. There is a lot of crafting benches which can be a bit overwhelming. Personally, I don't mind them too much, but what I do mind is the user interfaces. In some of them, they do just feel a little clunky. The overall appearance of them is beautiful, do not get me wrong, but in some crafting benches you can simply press X and collect all the other items, whereas some of them you have to go in, press the button, and then individually select all the items you want to complete. Well, the math isn't mathing for me. I just cannot see the reason why that isn't universal. There is just no need to have unnecessary windows, unnecessary pop-ups, especially when you're trying to go through a whole bunch of crafting stations. It just takes up extra time which isn't needed. Another thing which also needs attention in my opinion is the interaction with the NPCs and the amount of clicking when finishing quests. It feels like there is an unnecessary amount of time. You click the person, you wait for them to finish their dialogue, you click the quest, sometimes you have to pick which particular quest you're referring to, and then you have to give them the items. And then it takes you all the way back out, and then you have to listen to the dialogue all over again to click the buttons all over. Blah, blah, blah. So there you go. Maybe I'm just impatient, but I don't see why this couldn't all be done in one smooth transaction. If you have a quest to complete, it would be nice that that is the first thing that when you speak to a character that pops up and then it's done. I would also appreciate the consumption of food function be made quicker. Perhaps being able to have a keybind would help with this. I will say that the only reason I miss having a hotbar would be for this reason. It just speeds up things, and for example in games like Paleo, being able to eat just pressing one button just makes it a whole much more quicker and smoother. I'm sure there are other examples of where the user interface could be improved, but these are kind of the key ones that come to mind when I think about kind of smoothing the whole kind of interactions with user interfaces and different kind of chats, etc. I am so grateful about the fact that we can craft from storage. I could not imagine using all of the crafting tables without having this feature. But I would also love to be able to plant crops and use my fertilizer from my storage. Maybe this is just a bit lazy, but I do find it a bit of a chore having to go from my storage to pull out the seeds to then plant them. This is mainly because the storage is absolutely full of so much stuff. I know you can use the different sections to kind of break it down, but it just feels like a lot of work. Maybe this is just lazy me. What do you think? Whilst we are on the topic of storage, the unlimited storage and ease of being able to access your storage shed in this game is amazing. It's so nice not to have to stress about getting updates, etc. However, it does have a key drawback for me. FAE FARM is like most other farming sims where there are so many items to learn, and learning all of those items can be hard work. So one of the things that I would love to have is the option to hover over an item in your storage or in your inventory and see what the name of that item is. This would just make things a million times easier when you're trying to find a particular thing. I know that if you click on the item, it will tell you, but having to do that 10 times to find a particular item, that's a lot of work. Another improvement that I would like to see in the storage, but I'm not holding out hopes for, is a search bar. I do feel like I ask this in nearly every game that I play, and it rarely ever happens, and I rarely ever see it, but a girl can dream. So do not get me wrong, I am a huge fan of the cute little animations that you see on your character when, for example, you run out of water or your character gets a little bit too hot, too cold. I just think they are adorable. But maybe sometimes they do go on for a smidgen too long, and I wish that you could cancel the animation as well if you wanted to, because they do interrupt the gameplay a little too much for my liking sometimes. I would love if they were just sped up a little bit so the gameplay felt a lot smoother and it just runs a bit smoother as opposed to like a full-on stop while we wait for the animation to play out. Another thing that I would love to see more of is more clothing options. For a game that has so many character customization options, when I got into the game, I was super excited to see what clothing options there were early on, but I was a little bit disappointed to find that early on, your options of quite, in fact, very limited. I would really appreciate more options in Millie's shop, that's for sure. Additionally, I love the idea of dyes. I think it's so cute and works really well for the game. But damn, they are resource heavy, especially when it comes to the flowers. At this point, I feel like I'm just going to be forever sepia toned. I really would like to see more options and just see more different ways that you can get more clothing. And finally, I'm going to mention multiplayer. Now, I've not played multiplayer myself yet. It is on my to-do list. However, I have watched some streams of people doing it, and I feel that it needs some work. If anything, it might have put me off playing multiplayer just a little bit. It is definitely not as seamless as other games such as Dinkum, which has fantastic multiplayer, FYI, and even Stardew Valley co-op mode. That's really good as well. And those are kind of what I was expecting that FAE FARM co-op mode would be like. In FAE FARM, you have to create your own character to play in a friend's world, and you go in with no access to your items, and you don't get to keep anything you collect, which means your items either disappear into the abyss or the void, or the island owner can keep them. I have also seen some interesting glitches where items have disappeared or changed when people have been playing together, which seems like a pretty annoying bug if you're trying to progress. Honestly, I think it just requires some finessing and would definitely help the multiplayer kind of aspect of the game feel better and make it more appealing and not just an afterthought. One of the things that would be nice was perhaps if you had a chest where you could put down items and move them back to your world. I just think that that would be a nice addition because you could spend hours playing on your friend's island and not have any personal benefit, which kind of sounds selfish, but in the same time, I feel like it's a fair comment to make. So there we go. Those are kind of the things that I would like to see improved in FAE FARM. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see improved. Do you disagree? Do you agree? This isn't supposed to be controversial. It's just my opinion. But there we go. Have a great rest of your day, and I shall see you again soon. Bye-bye.